Good morning, welcome to another video. As you can see behind me, and as the title suggests, I'm down the Avon today. Misty morning, proper cold, 0 degrees, bit of a frost. I've come out today because this river's still in lovely condition to do something a bit different, something I've never done before, and that's have a go on the bollow. I didn't really know a lot about bollow fishing until fairly recently. Did a bit of research, as you do, on YouTube. Bit of reading about it, and it does seem that bollow fishing is very similar to the way I tend to fish my heavy stick float gear, as in across the river. But I've grabbed my 17-foot connoisseur and sort of set that up with a bollow on, just to have a go with that. I've got a peg here which I fished once before for about an hour, about half an hour probably. Didn't do any good, so I moved. But I think it's ideal, really. We've got a bit of width to the river. We can get the float out and across. And we've got a nice crease on the inside as well, because the river's pushing through a little bit. Right, that's probably enough waffle, isn't it? We'll get cracking. I think the sun's trying to break out, but we'll get cracking. See how we can get on. I'm hoping to catch some roach. Right, first things first. I'll start sprinkling some bait in. I've got some reds and some bronzes today. I think I'll go with the reds first. Just checking the visibility, I'm sure we can see. God, loads of fry down there. Yeah, they disappear after about a foot, a foot or so. So perhaps we'll break out the bronzes as well. So I've just mixed up a little bit of gross gardons with a bit of liquidised bread in there as well. As I say, it's pushing through a bit in here. I do want to get this down, and it's, I say, as far as I remember, 8 or 10 foot deep. So what I'm going to do is I've grabbed a few bits of pebbles. I'm just going to put them in the middle of the balls. Just mould a ball around that pebble just to get it down. There's lots of pebbles around here. I'm only returning them to the water. I'm not going to fill it in, but I just want to get a bit of bait down, a bit of smell. Just down on this crease. As I say, this is my 70-foot double connoisseur. It's a 4-piece, so it's a little bit fiddly to keep set up, but it is doable. Right, there we are, 17 foot. Bit of a beast. And there's a bollow float. It's Dave Harrell one. This is a 3 gram number 5 bollow. They're all different shapes and sizes. I've got some different ones if you want to change it over. This will do for starters, until I get an idea what I'm doing. As for all the other gear, the line, etc., I'll stick it all down in the description so you can have a look at your leisure. I was in 2 minds whether to come here today or whether to go to a different stretch, so I think I'm going to give it an hour here. If we don't do any good, I might nip to this other stretch, a bit that I've never fished before, which is, well, I was umming and ahhing as to whether to go there or not, because I just thought, well, you don't really know whether we're going to do any good there this time of year. We'll have a good crack here first, though. Right, we're fishing. Right, I need to shut that bollow down already. You can tell that. Just disappears off there into the mist. Right, that is not happening. I've been at it about 45 minutes and we've not had a sniff of anything. So I think it's time for a move. So here we are. I've come to a different stretch, as I said. Stretch I know will be a bit slower, a bit steadier. I've had a walk upstream from the car park. It's a bit nothingy, to be honest. It's a bit straight and featureless. I've had a walk downstream And a bit of a bend here, as you can see, and there's just a nice bit of a crease coming off here, off this tree. There's a bit of a bush next to us here. There's a bit of a crease coming off there. Looks lovely. So I'm going to have a go here. Bit of cover, obviously, along here as well. We can run a stick float along. I've ditched the bolo gear. I'm going to go on the stick float. We can just run the stick float along there. We'll go on the heavy stick float to start with, because I think we're probably going to be not catching any roach. That's my thoughts. If we do start to connect some roach and dace, the car's not too far away, I can go and grab my lighter setup, but I think it's probably going to be chub today. So we'll go with the heavy gear. Right, just while I'm sorting the rod and stuff out, we'll keep sprinkling this in. It's nice because we can throw the maggots just out there and the float will just run off down under this cover. Looks nice, that does. I say we'll try maggots first, and then we'll get onto the bread if we're struggling. You might say, why don't you just fish bread? But I think we'll miss out on some of the other species. That's my thinking. Who knows? It's January. Goodness only knows what might happen. But one thing I do know is chub are usually obliging if you're on them. Cold night last night. The rod rings are freezing up. When we were trying that bolo float, hopefully we can tempt a few nice chub or a few nice roach. Be happy with that as well. And this time out we're going with the trusty 15-foot Tournament Pro. Right, we'll fish fine, of course. Size 20, although like I say, I've got fairly robust gear on with chub in mind. We'll suss out the depth as we go along. See if we get any sort of interest at all. We'll give it an hour. And if we don't do any good here either, we'll go home, I think. Aside from the frost, it's a nice day for it though. Never fished this stretch before. I've walked it once a few years ago. We've not fished here, but it just looks nice with all this cover along here. Make the fish feel safe. One thing I'm not going to do is run too far down for now. Feel our way with the depth. It's quite wide here and we are on the outside of a bend, so it's probably a bit deeper than the rest of the river. Nice running the float down off the rod top. See, we're dragging under there. So we found the depth, it's not too deep, so that's good. Yeah, just come a tiny bit closer in and that's running through, so we're roughly the right depth then. That's just gone under. It's going to be the bottom, yeah. Right, we know where the bottom is, it's not too deep. We're 6.5 foot, something like that, maybe 7. So we'll come down 6 inches. I'd like to be running through somewhere near the bottom, I think. We feel like these fish are starting to move up on these maggots as I'm throwing them in. So I'll be surprised if they do, but if we feel that they do, I'll go and grab the waggler. We'll fish that through the water. I don't think these fish are going to want to be up in the water today, but you never know. We've got 18 inches of visibility, something like that. 2 foot? Yeah, 2 foot I'd say. We will persevere with maggots though for a good half an hour. And just see if we can tempt anything else. If not, like I say, we'll break out the bread. That's a nice trot down there, that is. Right, so we're not going too far down. I want to hook something right down the bottom. I have to drag it right back through the swim. I'm going to have a little move around now, not very comfy. I like that on that side of me, but I've just realised I only like it on that side of me when I have to use the catapult. When I'm not using a catapult, I would rather it was over there. Oh, I'm going to get some of this mucilin out as well, just to put on a line above the float. Just helps the line float. Now we've got the depth, we know the bit of line that we want to float. There's not a lot of cover really here. There's no obvious trees to fish it to or anything in the water. So I'm guessing the chub will just be hanging around. Perhaps some nice creases like this, perhaps tucked under the bank. That's better. That line's floating lovely now above that float. Well, as yesterday, no sign of smaller species at all. Absolutely nothing. Let's get to a point, I think, where the water's so cold that all the roach are shoaled up somewhere, and if you can find them, you probably bag up. The chub are here, there, and everywhere, and willing to feed if you find them. And everything else is not that interested. Alright, that's a bite, surely. Oh, I've got to stop striking into this tree. That was a bite. That was definitely a bite. We missed it. Alright, as I say, I've got to stop striking into this tree. But I'm pretty sure that was a bite. Like 15-20 minutes in, I think we've had our first bite. A fish? It is a fish. Yeah, it is a fish. I thought at the bottom. We're in. Whee! Don't feel bad neither. Just trudging out into the river. Really thought at the bottom then. Oh, that's brilliant. Absolutely wonderful. Oh, he's off. I'm going a bit steady with him because we're on a size 20, albeit a Guru MWG. So it's a decent 20. It feels a nice fish. Just keep feeding. Hopefully there's a shoal down there. He's certainly no little one. No, he's not. Remember to set up my landing at this time as well. So I often forget to do. He's a nice fish. He's no monster. Thought perhaps he was at first. But that is a cracking start on a new stretch. God. Oh, he's a cracking fish, actually. Well, I need 2 hands to hold this one up. That's about that. to kick things off. Wonderful. Just put them on the scales, £4 one. That is cracking. Wonderful stuff. Right, we shall get the keep net in. We'll put him in there for a sec. Right, chance of a few, I think. So we'll get the keep net in. Go on, chap, off you go. Wonderful start. Oh, blimey. Very muddy. As I often do, I'll give it just 5 minutes of just feeding without going in, just to let it rest a little bit. But that's good. We missed a bite. I'm pretty sure it was a bite, and then next run through we had that bite. So hopefully there's a few fish in here now. Did feel a decent fish, that did. It's hard to tell sometimes you strike into fish, but I did first of all think I'd got the bottom. Oh, that's just tripped bottom. I think I might just shallow up just an inch or two. We're just occasionally tripping bottom. I don't think an inch or two would make much odds. It'll just mean we're not getting any false bites. What I really want to get away from is what happened earlier on when we snagged that branch, not tree, and we had to drag it right the way back through the swim. I don't want to do that again. Not if we've got some fish in here feeding now. I'll just take a couple of inches off there because there is well, as you saw at the beginning, there's a line of trees here, which is sort of part of the appeal of this particular swim. Yes, I thought that was a bite. Quite a long way down, unfortunately. I say that because obviously we've got to drag him back through the swim. Feels another reasonable fish though. I do keep wondering if I'd be better off on bread. It's been perhaps 15-20 minutes since we had the last one. This is not as big as that one, for sure. Still, a bite's a bite. It's probably not even half the size, but as I say, a bite's a bite. Right, it probably is. It's probably pushing £2, £1.5 somewhere around there. Let's see if we can have a few. I say, I do keep thinking, time for some bread, time for some bread. If we're catching, we're catching. It's not prolific. I say it's been probably 15-20 minutes since we had that chub, the first chub, till that next bite. But it's the middle of January, isn't it? Can't expect too much. You tell these fish are cold as well, the way they're fighting, or not fighting. They're not charging about, they're not diving for cover, they're just sort of trudging when you hook them. I thought I had a bite down there earlier. It's quite a long way down. And I thought better of striking it, and didn't, but that one was a bit like I had to strike it really. It's clearly a bite. The float sort of dup, dup, and then under it went. Previous one I had a bit of a dip and I thought, no, I'm going to bring that back. I don't want to hook anything down there, but that was a bit further down, to be fair. Problem is dragging fish back through this part of the swim is not great, because obviously we're not going to catch anything up here if we do that. Anything that's up here we're going to spook. But if we're only going to get bites by running the float further down, then, you know, it's a trade-off really. Well, once again, I've just rested up the swim for 5 minutes. Carried on feeding, but rested it. I am very tempted to break out the bread. We've been here, well, certainly fishing for maybe an hour and a bit, and we've had 3 or 4 bites. And obviously caught 2 fish, so I'm certainly not complaining about. As I'm getting lots and lots of bites, I always feel like I could be doing more to help things along. That's a bite. Yes. Three. Every time I think about putting some bread on or using bread, we have a bite. Perhaps I need to just accept that these fish are holding quite a long way down there and just fish down to them. Again, he's no monster. Without counting my chickens, 3 fish now, fishing for an hour-ish, hour and a quarter. Well, this one's now deciding he's going to go in the edge. Come on. No, you don't. There we go. God, even these modest chub are pulling. Wonderful. And he's certainly full of maggots. Coughing them all up in the landing net. How's about that? Cracking. Oh, the hook's dropped out in the net. Well, he was hooked quite a long way downstream, so we certainly know that there's maggots getting down there. It's probably 30 metres down, I would say, something like that. Now, without spending half an hour running through the equipment, as I said, the rod's my Dow Tournament Pro 125M close face reel, 4.8 gram Drake alloy stem stick float there, an Olivet about 2/3 of the way down. We're fishing about 6 foot, 2 foot from the hook is the Olivet, just to give that maggot a little bit of room to waft around. That's the word I was looking for, waft around in the water. We're getting it down to within a couple of foot of the bottom, 2/3 depth, and then it's wafting around. I've not been playing around with that. We've played around with the depth, but I've not played around with where that Olivet is yet, just because it started to work. I don't think there's loads of fish in here. I think we're doing a reasonable job. That's a bite. Oh, I think that was a bite, and how I've missed that, I don't know. Could have been dragging bottom. It's difficult to tell in here. Sometimes you can tell. These fish are quite lethargic today, and the bites are sometimes just a dip and then just slowly pulls under. And the bottom's doing a similar thing. If that was the bottom, it's just catching and then just pulling under. It's quite high up the run if it was a bite. We had that first fish quite high up, and all the rest of the bites have been much further down since. So I'm kind of not expecting to get any bites up here really now, purely because I'm dragging these fish back through the swim. If there are any fish in here, I'm sure we'd be spooking them. But, you know, we are getting the bites down there, so we've got a lot of choice really. Right, that is it. I'm going to call it a day there. We've not had a sniff for 45 minutes. Absolutely nothing. I think we've probably had what we're going to have from here. That's been thoroughly enjoyable. It's nice to come to a different stretch, catch a few fish. Certainly can't complain about that. I thought that perhaps the bread would get us a reaction, but no, nothing. Thought perhaps it would pull some fish into the swim, but it certainly hasn't, unfortunately. Yeah, certainly thoroughly enjoyed that. It's been great, as I say, to come to a stretch you've only walked once many years ago and have a few fish out. Very pleasing and a lovely, very enjoyable method to have a go on as well. But the humps and winter roach continues, as I say, avoiding town centres. So I've got an idea, one or two places I might have a go at, or I might get up one of the smaller rivers. I'm not sure what to do yet. Overcast day due tomorrow. I might try and get out again. For now, I'm being laughed at by the ducks. For now, all there is left to do is say thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that tight lines. Enjoy your own angling. Many thanks to the channel patrons. Thanks to those people who've made a donation through buymeacoffee.com. And I'll see you again very soon.